But right now, very pleased to have with us on the program from Action Impact in Southfield, Michigan, Mr. Bill Cusick. And Bill, thanks for coming on the program tonight.
Well, Cam, thank you for having me on your show. I appreciate it.
You bet. Great article about your business in the Detroit News. Maureen McDonald writing this. And how long have you guys been open?
Just a little bit over 2.5 years now. And I have to say that I feel like we're doing pretty well at this point.
Were you surprised at the media attention to the profile in the Detroit News?
I don't want to say I was surprised at it. I guess I would say I was pleased with it. I feel that I think once the media people get exposed to those of us who are in the firearm industry, I think they then form a correct perception, and they see that we are good people and that we're doing good things. And so I'm always pleased when that's kind of recognized.
Yeah. No, and again, I mean, this was an entire news article without one snide remark, one backhanded insult. It was a fair piece by Maureen McDonald pointing out that when she was there anyway, an equal number of men and women in the classroom taking a concealed carry course. Is that what you're seeing these days, Bill? Is it kind of hard to define who the typical customer is?
I think for the market that I'm in, Cam, I believe that I am at well over 90% of my customers are there for self-defense purposes, and it runs the whole gamut of our society. We're kind of known as a very diverse gun store, and the diversity in race and religion and cultures is just overwhelming at my store, and that's what I think is important for me anyway.
Yeah, I love the picture. The Detroit Jewish Cigar and Shooting Club meets at your range. That's so cool.
Well, I'll tell you what's really funny about that is when they first called me, my image was maybe 5 or 6 guys coming in, and then when they finally came, I had 60 people coming in. It was husband, wives, and even children. So I was like a little bit overwhelmed that evening. I'll never forget it, actually.
Wow. So, is this, in terms of changing people's attitudes and changing people's minds, Bill, I've always said I think the best thing is to actually get somebody to the range. Do you agree?
I agree with that. Here's what I believe. I believe that, first of all, I believe that good people aren't weak people. I strongly believe that. But I think getting exposed to, we're all good people. And those of us in the industry, particularly at this level, I think we're doing good things. And I often hear people talk about, trying to take away gun rights and being activists in that regard. I believe those of us in the industry on a daily basis do more for firearm safety than these people do in their entire life.
Than the gun control advocates who are calling for another restriction. I do,
right,
too.
All they do is call to take away our rights, but I don't see them promoting any gun safety or responsible gun ownership. And we do it on a daily basis. I don't want to cut you off, but just real quick. I mean, I'm right across the street from a major urban city, and for instance, I have an amazing number of senior citizens coming into my store. And in fact, I had a 93-year-old man come in last week.
Really?
It took 2 hours. Yeah, I took 2 hours with this man to make sure that A, he was comfortable with the gun, and B, he'd be safe with one, and that he could operate it properly, and by golly, he could do it. And by time it passed, so. In that 2 hours, I feel like we accomplished more than the gun rights advocates, those who want to take away our rights would do it an entire year.
I think you're right, and I think it's, as you point out, you want people to be knowledgeable. You want people to be competent. They want people to be ignorant, and they want people to be scared of firearms.
Yeah, they want to take away rights that they don't even exercise. I guess that's what I think gets under my skin. And I firmly believe, and it's not just me, I think it's every gun store in America. I mean, they're responsible owners, and they're responsible dealers, and they do this every day.
Yeah.
And it gets no attention. They don't get a reward. They don't get a pat on the back for it, but that's what I think so ironic about it, is we actually do more to promote gun safety than anybody else does. I believe that, and certainly the NRA does, and yet the NRA constantly gets beat up by politicians.
Yeah, well, they can they can attempt to beat us up, but Bill, again, you know this every time you hold a class and you get new students in, and you get a reporter in there who will cover this issue fairly. I think we're winning.
Well, I believe we are too, and the key word that you mentioned is to be fair.
Mm-hmm.
And a quick story, because you're kind of on that subject matter about the media. I'd run a local commercial on one of the local TV stations. It's a major network, actually, but in the Detroit metropolitan area. And I considered doing it on another station. And the sales rep came in and said, "This is fantastic. This is a go." And I said, "Okay, let's do this. I'll invest the money." He then calls me back later in the day and says, "Meeting of our executives, we don't want to run your commercial." And now my commercial, understand that half that commercial was promoting responsible gun ownership and responsible gun safety.
Yeah.
And the second half of it was certainly to draw people to my business. But I found it so hypocritical because that same station, for 3 hours before my commercial would air, would show how many murders, would show how many shootings, and their news, if it bleeds, it leads. Yet they don't want to show this commercial, and I thought how hypocritical. So that's what you kind of sometimes find in the media. So you did highlight how fair this reporter was, and certainly I appreciated that.
Well, and that's the thing. When you see the good stuff, you got to acknowledge the good as well as acknowledging the bad. And Bill, I got to tell you, it's been a real pleasure talking to you. I hope we can do this again very soon.
Well, I would look forward to it, and I certainly thank you for consideration, and I thank your listeners for taking the time to listen to me ramble.
You bet. Bill Cusick joins from Action Impact in Southfield, Michigan. The web address, by the way, for Bill's store is www.impactrange.com.